Thank you to everyone for attending the Community Foundation's virtual meeting tonight. As always, we appreciate your patience if we have any technical hiccups. A couple of technical items before we get to the content of tonight's meeting. On September 16, 2021, the Governor of California signed AB 361, suspending certain provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act in order to allow for local legislative bodies to conduct their meetings telephonically or by other electronic means. To reduce the spread of COVID-19, meetings of the San Bruno Community Foundation's Board of Directors are being conducted electronically. Please know that we want to hear from you. If you are in the audience and you would like to address the board during public comment for items not on the agenda or any of the agendized items, please use the raise your hand button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Once you raise your hand, the executive director will see that someone wants to talk, and she will let me know that you are waiting. When it is your turn to speak, the executive director will call your name. She will unmute you and you will be given 3 minutes to address the board. If you are joining us by telephone, you may also address the board during public comment by pressing *9, and the executive director will address you and unmute you. You will also be given 3 minutes to address the board. Please note, anyone in attendance may only speak once per agenda item. Leslie, did we receive any emails from the public related to any of the agenda items?
No, we have not.
Okay. Okay, let's begin. Item number 1, I now call the regular meeting of the San Bruno Community Foundation's Board of Directors of October 5th, 2022 to order. I'll turn the time over to Raul for roll call, please.
Apologies. Board Member Irving Torres.
Here.
Board Member Sapira Perry.
Here.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Here.
Treasurer Pac Lynn.
Here.
Secretary Raul Gomez is present. Vice President Jim Roy.
Here.
And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Here. Thank you, Secretary Gomez.
Absolutely.
Item number 3, would any members of the public like to address the board on a topic not on the agenda? Please indicate so by using the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4, approval of minutes. I'll turn the time back over to Secretary Gomez.
Thank you. So in your meeting packet, we have our meeting minutes from our September 7th meeting. For that, hope that the board was able to review the meeting minutes from that meeting, and I'll turn it back over to Melissa.
If there are no questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll turn the time back over to you, Secretary Gomez, for roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Board Member Irving Torres.
Aye.
Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pac Lynn.
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Roy. And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye. Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Moving on to item number 5, Executive Director's Report. I'll turn the time over to Leslie.
Thank you. It's great to see everyone tonight. I have just a brief executive director's report today, as much of what I've been working on is being covered in the business portion of today's meeting. First of all, I'm happy to announce that our annual report is out. Hopefully a lot of you got it in the mail today. Actually, it did arrive at my house and at the office today, and I know a couple of other people, community members, emailed me saying they got theirs today. So I think most of them got delivered today. It's also posted on our website. and will go out in our next couple of email blasts. Please feel free to share it with your networks. It's a great sort of summation of the past year's accomplishments for the foundation, all in just a short 12-page, I guess it's not that short, 12-page document. So feel free to share that. Second item is our fiscal year 21-22 audit. That is well underway. Frank Bittner and I have been responding to the auditor's requests over the past month and a half. We are expecting draft audited financials from the auditors any day now, probably in the next couple of days. And then the audit committee will be meeting with the auditors on Monday, October 17th at 3 p.m. on Zoom. And anybody is welcome to join that. And then Novogradac partner Lance Smith, who heads our team at Novogradac, will present the audited financials at our November 2nd board meeting. So you'll have an opportunity as a board to speak with our auditors at that time. Finally, I just wanted to give you a brief update on our fundraising and DEI consultants. I'm happy to let you know that the Partnership Resources Group is on board as our fundraising consultants to provide high-level analysis on both our fundraising potential and the projected cost of what it would take to build up a development operation. Based in San Rafael, the PRG, Partnership Resources Group, has been providing strategic fund development counsel to Bay Area nonprofits since 1990. Our team will be led by Senior Managing Associate Melissa Irish, with support from their president and founder, Elliot Levin. We executed the professional services agreement this week, and now we're just working out the details of getting started on their work. Their fee will be $15,000, which is the budgeted amount. The goal is for PRG to complete its analysis by the end of the calendar year, and then do a presentation to the board of its findings early on in 2023, January, February. We may or may not need to schedule a separate meeting for that. We are in the final stages of working out an agreement with a DEI consultant, and I will let you know as soon as that one is finalized. But we talked to a number of different DEI consultants, President Natani Jones and I. We have found one finalist that we believe would be a good fit for the board, and hope to announce her to you soon. That is my report. Happy to take any questions. Melissa, you're on.
Sorry. Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Any questions from the public?
Do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Leslie. We're going to move on to item number 6, consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar today, as listed on the agenda. Unless there are questions, I call for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Secretary Gomez for a roll call vote, please.
Board Member Irving Torres.
Aye.
Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pat Lynn.
Aye.
Secretary Raoul is an aye. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye.
There you have it.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Moving on to item number 7 this evening, conduct of business. First is to receive a report from the San Bruno Recreation and Aquatic Center from the City of San Bruno. As chair of the ad hoc committee on the Recreation and Aquatic Center project, I'll give a brief report of the committee. Vice President Ruane and I sit on the city's RAC Advisory Committee, which meets monthly to receive updates from the city on the project. As you know, the foundation is funding the project through a series of 8 grants totaling $50 million, with grant payments being made on a quarterly basis. In July and August, the foundation made quarterly RAC grant payments totaling $3,558,147. The foundation has paid out a total of just over $24 million in RAC grant payments and has a balance of just under $26 million left to pay. The city will be submitting its next RAC grant reports in October, after which the foundation will make payments on the 6 active RAC grants. As you know, the San Bruno Community Foundation Board is receiving quarterly updates from the City of San Bruno on progress on the construction of the Recreation and Aquatic Center project. Tonight, we have a team of from the city who will give the presentation. We have with us Project Manager Rod Makarag and Community Services Director Ann Matola. Welcome, and we are eager to hear the progress of the city from the city that has made on the RAC since we last heard from you in July. We know there's been a lot of activity because we can see it, and so I'll now turn the time over to you all.
All right, thank you, Melissa, and good evening, members of the San Bruno Community Foundation and everyone zoomed in tonight. Thank you for some of you who made it on the last tour, Jim Ruane and Dr. Melissa. Thank you for coming out in the site. Yeah, my name is Rod Makarag. I'm the project manager, so I'll be providing you the presentation update. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure. So we have a similar agenda as previously reported. We have the project information update, completed to date, change order report, budget update, schedule update, what's happening in the next 30 days. Other related project updates that would include the Crystal Spring and Chris City Parkway intersection update, as well as the solar PV update. Project information. Now, we all know we started in September 2021. We are still expecting to complete fall of 2023. To the end of September, we are about 40% complete, which is equivalent to what the contractor can bill us contractually. Below is the progress aerial photos were taken. One of them is in August and the other one is September. As you can see how much building has been put in. We will have another shot of it. We hope to share that to you on the next report. The next photo, progress photo, is showing the last time we reported to you back in July, where we just doing the concrete foundation. Photo below is October 4th picture showing how much work has been done. There was nothing on July 1st, and in 3 months we have all of a sudden we had some building being built. So that was great progress to see. Going back memory lane, starting in July, we were working on the building foundation at that time, just getting ready to receive those steel frames. So you can see some of those anchor bolts, some of those underground conduits being installed. Exactly August 1st, we start receiving steel frames and start erecting them at the same day and continue up to this time. We also continue working on the building wall A that is basically along Crystal Spring. If you remember, there was a wall there that we built. That was the shoring wall. This one is wall A, which is actually going to be part of the building that's being built as well. September, we continued framing and roof trusses and decking as well. You can see how much being put in. We basically completed the framing, start putting some decking and some layers of the building. Off-site work, we continued working on the creek. This is critical to get it done by October 15. So we are really working hard on getting it done. Month of September, since we have the road closed, we work on various utilities. We started on the sewer, where we run into some obstacles, as you can see in the photo in the middle. We run into some trees that needs to be removed. We have to execute some right of entry with the property owner. Once we resolved that, the resolution was to get the water installed first. However, before we can install the water, we have to put in the storm drain, which we already completed. And we are now working on the water as well. And we switch back and complete the sewer, hopefully in next week. October, we work on the road realignment, parking lot grading. We also start digging the bioretention. So you can see those blue areas. Bioretention pond is to collect surface water from the parking lot, from the road, and let it percolate naturally and gradually into the ground. More progress in October on the building work. As you can see, we continue to progress. Installation of decking and roofing. We basically have roofing installed in the gymnasium, and we should be working towards the natatorium area. Schedule update. All areas actively being worked on. Steel framing, roof decking are in progress, mainly in gymnasium. Main wall for gymnasium wall A is also in progress. Creek is graded, being treated with new treatment to some creek surface treatment is also being installed. New sewer line, new water line, new storm pipes are also in progress, as you can see in some of those photos. Roadway and parking and bioretention ponds are also in progress. Basically all this activity from 1B down is basically being worked on. 1B to 4 is being worked on. It's a very busy site. Multiple activities and trades are now working simultaneously. We have about 40 to 50 people, I would say, that are basically out there working. So expect the next 3 months is going to be very busy. This is going to be critical to the completion of the project. Road closure update. I think in our July report, we mentioned we're going to close City Parkway in order to do all those utilities as well as the roadway realignment. Here's the approved City Parkway road closure or detour plan with updated dates that are subject to change. So you can see we close it exactly on August 1st, and we intend to open the road back to the public use by mid-December, hopefully earlier. All this red text are completed activities. We are now working on creek channel, City Parkway water. Once we get that water done, we switch to sewer. Once we get the sewer, we start working on the lighting on the side and start restoring the road. And we really want to get this done sooner the better. So everybody's working hard and having the same goal to get it done. So for public safety, the entire work site is fenced off and not accessible to the public, but we are mindful of the maintaining emergency vehicle accessibility in case of emergency, of course. We're monitoring traffic, making sure all the vehicles are following the detour, routing them to the El Camino. I know it's been a challenge. Some are not following that, but we were observing the traffic signal as well. Make sure El Camino is not backing up the traffic signal at least, and we're checking out the intersection at El Camino as well in Santa Lucia. We plan to coordinate with Caltrans in case we need to adjust the timing signal at the Crystal Spring and El Camino if needed. As far as calls and emails, we typically get 1 or 2 a month. We've been addressing them as we go. Some of their requests to add sign and things like that, we were responding to all the inquiry by public inquiry and continue to monitor any improvements we could do to minimize inconvenience. Some of the public outreach just listed out here. Contractors doing a good job basically on keeping the site clean and safe, including monitoring traffic flow. Contractors have done their job providing door hanger notification. They placed the portable changeable message sign. Detour signs are all in place. Local traffic only signs were installed on the corner of Cypress, also in Acacia Avenue. Not to avoid installing all the corners of the of the road here, we installed additional detour sign in between, intermittent detour sign in between to direct traffic to go to El Camino, so not to confuse them to turn on those other streets. We communicated with the Google navigation system to avoid redirecting traffic to the connecting streets, or basically direct the traffic to El Camino rather than to those other streets. We also in communication with the city consultant traffic engineer to make sure we let him know about the traffic and parking situation or questions. We have public works inspector that's making rounds daily, checking traffic signals in schools around the areas. Field contact numbers are available on the project signs and city website. On-site representative is present every day at the field trailer. Project website is regularly updated. Calls and emails are being answered and addressed. One of the things we did is we executed a right of entry agreement with the 175 DeSoto Way property owner to remove the existing trees to proceed with our work on the sewer. Change order update. We have approved total change order of 1,579,904 and change, and completed change order, or we basically paid 1,372,414 and 83 cents. 37.53% of that is basically due to unforeseen and unknown condition. 51.8% is due to resolution of discrepancies, and 9.8% public safety and convenience, and less than 1% is owner request and value engineering credit costs. Just to reiterate, the unforeseen and unknown conditions are mostly disposal of the contaminated soil that we continue to encounter on the new excavation. Contaminated soil had to be disposed in a class 2 dump. It would require cost to not just to the fee, but also to truck them to the dump site due to the presence of a high level of petroleum and pesticide. 9.8% of also is for public safety and convenience. That's related to the tree removal, sidewalk at DeSoto Way, and the disposal of some hazardous material or concrete that we encountered at the beginning of the construction. 51.8% or 51.8% is coming from the RFI as or request for information, as we pieced the project together to meet the intent of the design, considering the constructability and maintainability of the plumbing and foundation system. Changes in addition and adjustment had to be implemented on the pool pumps and overall drainage system, accommodate changes on the steel framing system, and to meet code and the latest seismic load requirements. Project budget update. Total approved project budget, as you know, is 60,540,228. We have spent to date 26,872,767 and change. That's about 44.39% of the project budget. That's included invoices and submitted and approved to date and recommended for payment. Spent to date included pre-construction and construction expenses to date. The approved budget is, in this presentation, is broken down into 3 categories. As you can see, we have the SOAP costs, project contingency, and construction costs. Blue represent pre-construction phase expenses. Orange is the construction phase expenses. Green is the remaining balance for each category. SOP costs included design fees, project management fees, construction management, permit fees, environmental services, and other project-related tasks and projects costs, which we are about 63%. That's the combination of the blue and the orange of the SOP cost column. Majority of the expenses are basically coming from the blue color, which is about 49%, or the pre-construction expenses. Construction phase costs is about 13.73. That's shown in orange. That's and project contingency is about 35.8%. 50% spent, so we still have 64.2% in the contingency. And construction costs, or the hard costs, is 39.26. That's equivalent to approximately what's completed today. Looking at this chart, we still have a healthy contingency balance moving forward. We hope to complete the project on budget unless other circumstances arises that we can control. So I think we look good up to this time. What's happening the next 30 days? Just to look at the building portion of it, we will continue to do the steel framing, decking, and roofing. You can see some of the blue are now completed. The number of days there was the projected days. They think they're gonna get it done from the time they started. So we're on we are now on the last 20 days that they projected. So we're looking at this roof that we are supposed to be getting done hopefully this month on the natatorium. The red color is the ongoing, or what's going to be done the next 30 days. So the blue ones are basically almost complete. So it's progressing as far as the building and the framings. Just an overall aerial shot of the on-site work. As you can see, we will continue to continue to install roofing and decking on the natatorium, and possibly complete some of the details of the gymnasium side while working on the wall A. You may see indoor pool excavation to start within 30 days. With that, we're looking to see that the whole building gets roofed and walls before the rain starts. So that's pretty critical to our schedule. Overview of the entire project. Looking at this aerial shot, as you can see, while a lot of work is being done on the building side, on the on-site work, we are working on the creek, we're working on the sewer, we're working on the water, we're also working on the bioretention. We are digging that today for some of you who saw the job site. So it's the whole area is basically dug out. We're putting all these utilities. Hopefully we get all these utilities done and the creek done by the end of this month, and looking to put the road back in the following month and get it open by December. Other project updates, solar PV updates. We are, as you know, back on September 13th. Back on September June 28th, there's a motion for public hearing, and we got to this point now where the council approved to proceed with to execute a PPA with the PCE power purchase agreement, and that is now in progress. We hope to execute the power purchase agreement with PCE by the month of November, and hope to get the construction of the solar PV beginning of next year. If not January, it's probably February. So that's what we're looking at. And September 13th, Crystal Spring, Oak Street, City Parkway intersection improvement update. September 13th, City Council approved to proceed with the traffic signal system design, which is now ongoing. The design is now completed 30% of the plan. It's now currently on review. We hope to get this project advertised for bids by January or February, so we can get it awarded hopefully by March and get the construction going by May or June. So we'll be in a timely finish with the rock project. This is the end of my presentation. Again, thank you for your time, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Rod. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Yes. Go ahead, Irving.
Thank you, Madam President. Rodrigo, thank you so much for the presentation. I was just curious, you were mentioning about the sewer drainage as well as the water main. And if you can clarify if those improvements also kind of considers potential, like, you know, for the RAC to utilize like additional kind of like water systems within the recreational aquatic center. I'm just curious to know, like, if that was also included as part of the plan, or if it was just to kind of expect like what the anticipation of, you know, the usage of the rack is, or is it going to include potentially like future usage as well to accommodate maybe an overload or something like that. I'm making sense, but yeah, that's my first question.
Yeah, so those utilities are meant to support the RAC project. There are some extension of some of these utilities like sewer to connect to the DeSoto to service the resident down and the rest of DeSoto as well. So we're just taking advantage of the short connection to make some of the sewer ways to go through the city parkway rather than use the old pipe. So that's the only difference. The water are new, mainly to support the RAC project. At the same time, we're able to replace some of the old pipe that has passed the RAC building. So it's a combination of both, but mostly is meant to support the RAC build project. Yeah.
Got it. And I have a follow-up question that is tied to the RAC, but isn't about the construction. And maybe this is a question to Anne. In these specific rooms, because I was looking at like the 2008 designs and all of that of what potentially, you know, conference rooms, etc. Are these storage kind of spaces like big enough for, or I imagine that these conference rooms and these spaces are multi-use. I'm just curious to know about these storage spaces and the idea. Well, I guess my question behind it is, if in the future, you know, the community, you know, would consider like additional kind of amenities, you know, to be able to provide, like, for example, like a laundromat, right? Or a laundry or a washing machine at the rack. And so I was just curious if these spaces like could be kind of, you know, be amenable to some of these kind of ideas like down the road and so forth. Yeah.
Well, some of that answer may be broad, but essentially the storage is actually really efficient. And so the whole process of even getting all of the furniture and equipment as we purchase, before we make a purchase, we have to narrow down products that will store within the footprint. And so it's a rather efficiently assigned building as far as uses. That being said, there's always potential to investigate making changes and revisions based as needs of the community shift and change. So yeah, but the building as it is, it's like it's super efficient. Like every square inch of it's accounted for.
Did that answer your question, Irving?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Secretary Gomez and then Board Member Supriya. Great.
Thank you, Melissa. It's a really quick question, and it has to do with the creek realignment. And that is, I've noticed over, you know, the winter time when we have severe storms here in the Bay Area, if you want to call this severe. But what I've noticed is the creek will swell at least 8 to 10 feet. And I'm just wondering, do you guys have a provision for that with the new aligned creek, i.e. will it spill into like the green part of the park, or again, will it be able to handle the water as it comes down when it's raining?
Thanks for the question, Raul. Yes, definitely. That design is meant to receive the 10-year flood or whatever the year they designed it for, to avoid that same overflowing creek that we used to experience in the past. I know how it was. It goes to the street. There's enough capacity to keep it within the creek. The creek has the creek bed itself and some flood terrace as wide as 20 feet. So that there's plenty of space to store water and keep it within that creek area.
Excellent, thank you.
Supriya?
Thank you. In terms of energy efficiency, I know there's the solar panels. Are there other sort of smart technology built in, like lights that go off, after a certain amount of time, or appliances that are intended to be energy efficient? And I'm assuming, like, given how large the center is, that there were sufficient studies done in terms of how that impacts San Bruno generally, in terms of it's like citywide resources and the efficient, the continued sort of, efficient flow throughout the city. So I guess that was kind of a couple of questions.
Yeah, no, I think overall, like you said, we have the solar PV, we have electric EV charging station that's going to be there. That's part of kind of like green program. Some of the equipment, or almost all of those equipment, I would assume that they are all pre-selected to be efficient equipment to be used in the building. There's a BMS system that's being considered if we want to. The building is not meant for lead that we're, but it is meant to meet some of those green building requirement. So that's why we most of our specified materials and equipment there are meant to be efficient. So if that's in general, that's what we're looking at. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Jim, Melissa, want to talk about your tour?
Well, I just, it was a pleasure meeting everybody in person for the first time, and it's just an impressive site. And there was so much going on, and I'm excited to be a part of, working to improve the community. I think it's going to be an amazing athletic center. And so it was just a wonderful experience today. Thank you, Rod.
Yeah, I have to echo that. It was great. When you physically stand next to it, you can see the size and the scope of everything that's going together. And I was really impressed with the roadway improvements. There's not that sharp right turn and people running across the street trying to get into places. It's very well thought out. You could go into the park a lot deeper. And I know what Irving asked about, I think, or maybe it was Raul, about the water and how that was well thought out. With all of that water that eventually gets down into the bay is all filtered, and it's a really well thought out system with the Army Corps. I think we have to inspect it once every 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just seeing the site and everything in person, you really get the scope, and it's just going to be a wonderful facility for the people and the kids of San Bruno.
So, Anne.
I just wanted to, I didn't want this evening to go by without just taking a note as we're getting into this really exciting phase of the project to thank you, and kind of reflecting on, I know there's been lots of turnover, certainly on the city side, of people involved in the project, but the foundation has been this real constant and this real great foundation for this amazing vision to happen. And you've been so gracious to us every time we come and we present. Your questions are always really thoughtful and insightful. And, I know we're coming here quarterly, but I think the questions may come at you a little bit faster as we get closer and build. So please, my door is always open, happy to get you information, especially if it's something that's coming from people that you reach, during the day. But thank you so much for the support, and please let us know if there's anything else, any information that we can provide you before the next quarter goes by.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne. Are there any questions or comments from the public? I don't see any.
I do not see any either.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, thank you, Rod and Ann. Always good to see you. We are so excited. This phase is where it gets really, really fun and cool. So thank you so much for the report, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you. We're going to move on to item B to receive a report on the Tanfran Memorial from the Tanfran Assembly Center Memorial Committee. Doug Yamamoto. As the chair of the ad hoc committee on the Tanfran Memorial, I will introduce this item. As you will recall, the foundation has provided $200,000 in grant funding to the Tanfran Assembly Center Memorial Committee to support the construction of the Tanfran Memorial at the San Bruno BART station. This memorial honors the nearly 8,000 Japanese Americans who were interned at the Tanfran Assembly Center during World War II. The TACMC held a wonderful ribbon cutting ceremony at the memorial site outside of San Bruno BART station on the afternoon of Saturday, August 27th, 2022, which most of the board attended. The TACMC recently submitted its final grant report, and now I'm pleased to welcome TACMC President Doug Yamamoto to give us what is likely to be our final update on the memorial project. Mr. Yamamoto will report on the completion of the memorial, the ribbon cutting ceremony, and the TACMC's plans for the memorial going forward. Hey, Doug.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, turning the time over to you.
Okay. On behalf of the Tanfran Committee, I'd like to extend our deepest gratitude for the support that the San Bruno Community Foundation offered to our efforts to build the Tanfran Memorial. Your help was essential in helping us complete the memorial, and so we truly thank you. As Melissa mentioned, we had a successful ribbon cutting event on Saturday, October 27th, and I'm glad to hear that many of you were there. So you saw for yourself the support that we had from the broad community who made the effort to attend. And for the committee, the most significant part was the fact that we had 45 to 50 former incarcerees at the event. So I think Leslie, are you there? Or because she has some.
I am here, Doug. Unfortunately, my screen isn't, my video is not working. So I am happy to share the slides for you if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna, since I'm talking about the event. So that's a picture of the site early on. That might have been, I'm not sure when that was. It might have been that morning, because the signs were covered up by block Friday night, and the superintendent showed up at 6 o'clock on Saturday to remove all the plastic. So that's a pretty good shot of the memorial. This taiko was the San Mateo Buddhist temple taiko, who started off the event with some music, and just to lend a mood to it. Here's a shot of Steve Okamoto addressing the crowd, and you could see the incarcerees were all, all in the front. Jackie Spear, Congressman Jackie Spear was there, who has been a strong supporter for 10 years. And so she wanted to be there. And of course, Melissa speaking on behalf of the foundation. This one here is our committee with the ribbon cutting, and that's Ben Takeshita with the scissors. He's I think he's 91 or 92. He was 8 years old when, or 9 years old when he was moved from his house in San Mateo to Tanforan with his family. So we wanted to make sure that he was the one that cut the ribbon. And there's Steve with the statue unveiling. So that's that's the wall of names with the 7,984 names. Were people who were incarcerated there at Tanforan. And that's the final picture of the memorial. One thing I would like to mention is that I've been, since that time, August 27th, I've been to the memorial at least half a dozen times. The other committee members have also visited on a regular basis, and we've all noticed that there are always people coming through when we're there to visit the memorial. People just getting off BART, wandering up, or coming down from the station, or coming from the parking lot. There's a constant flow of visitors. So we're very pleased to see that, and we think it's going to be a well-visited site in the city of San Bruno that will reflect well on the city and its contributions. So other than that, I'll stop it there. For any questions?
Thank you, Doug. Any questions from or comments from the board? Yes, Secretary Gomez.
Yeah, thank you. I would just like to say thank you, Doug, for a great report. I was at the event, and it was just absolutely a beautiful day, not just weather-wise, but again, content and just seeing everyone there and just what was put together. It's absolutely beautiful and just breathtaking. And I just want to say that, you know, this is what really makes me feel proud about being a board member on the San Bruno Community Foundation. These are the exact right projects that I think that we should be committing to and working on. This, just like I said, just really makes my heart sing. And I just want to thank you specifically again for all of your hard work and just really bringing this all to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Are there any questions from the public?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Well, Doug, it has been a pleasure to meet you, as well as the other members of the committee, especially Steve, and to work with you. I know that I had a real strong affinity to this project, and so I'm so glad that I got to see it actually happen. And I think it's going to be important, as Secretary Gomez mentioned, for the city of San Bruno, and it's a beautiful memorial. And I actually spoke to a colleague today and told her about it. And so she wants to bring her family there on Saturday to come and take a look. So excited for the future and for people to continuously learn about what happened here in San Bruno, and to also memorialize those who were interned here. So I'm sad that this is going to be the last time we'll see each other in a meeting. However, we hope to see you again in the near future and partner on something else that's going to be outstanding for the city of San Bruno. So thank you so much.
Yes, I'll be missing you all too, but there's still a lot of work to do out there. So I'll be hanging around trying to do something. So
That's right. Hang around, Doug. All right. Thank you so much, Doug.
thank you again.
Okay, we will now shift over to item C on our agenda, to receive report from the Ad Hoc Committee on Education Initiatives and adopt a resolution approving school field trip and transportation grant to the San Bruno Park School District in the amount of $35,000. And so Secretary Gomez will give the report from the committee, and then the board will consider the grant resolution.
Thank you, Melissa. So as the Ad Hoc Committee on Education Initiatives presented to the San Bruno, or to the board, excuse me, in June, for a proposal for a grant to provide COVID relief support to San Bruno Park School District and PTAs to support field trips. So as you will recall, in the spring, we surveyed the leadership of the 6 San Bruno Park School District parent-teacher organizations. Although the survey data revealed different needs at each school, it also made it clear that all of the schools would benefit from additional financial support, especially after the 2 years of substantial impact from the pandemic. In particular, most of the schools identified a need for more funding related to field trips, including the 5th grade outdoor education program. Because the school district does not have its own fleet of buses, schools must rent buses, which can cost upwards to $800 per field trip, or rely on volunteer parent drivers. Most of the schools depend exclusively on parent-teacher organizations to cover the cost of the field trips, including transportation, which limits the number of field trips that each class can offer. Moreover, over the past 2 years, the pandemic has limited the ability of schools to offer field trips. No field trips were available in the 2021 school year, when the schools spent most of the year in distance learning format, and the most trips venues were not open. The 21-22 school year showed some opportunities for field trip, including the outdoor ed program. But as venues have continued to have some COVID restrictions and the schools have faced ongoing challenges related to the pandemic, and field trips have not been as plentiful as they were pre-pandemic. The committee sees tremendous value in field trips for elementary and middle school students. The opportunity to leave school campus and be exposed to new experiences at museums, parks, concerts, and other community venues, especially after more than 2 years of the pandemic, when youth have faced mental health issues and social distancing and isolation, and have had fewer opportunities to attend community events and visit places like museums, zoos, music, or other performances. And in the event that the pandemic should continue to limit field trip opportunities, we should see value in supporting school assemblies, which would bring presenters and performers on campus. So also to provide relief to schools and present associations in supporting these schools to enable San Bruno students to partake in valuable education experiences outside of the classroom, we are now presenting the board our final proposal for COVID relief grants to support the 6 San Bruno Park schools. So here's our proposal. A grant amount, a total of $35,000, $5,000 earmarked to support activities at each of the 5 elementary schools, and then $10,000 earmarked to support activities at Parkside Intermediate School. Grant purposes: to be used to provide support for off-campus field, including the San Mateo County 5th grade outdoor education program and on-campus assemblies. The grant period funds are to be used during the 22-23 school year. And the grant should be made available to the San Bruno Park School District. and consultation. The school district will consider the input and advice from individual schools and their parent-teacher organizations in making decisions on how to spend the grant consistent with the applicable purposes of the grant. Now, the main tweaks we made to the proposal from when we presented in June are the last 2 points. With the grant being made at the school district, which will consider input and advice from school and PTAs to expend the grant funding. Originally, it was proposed that the grants would be made directly to the parent-teacher organizations at each of the 6 schools. However, the San Bruno Community Foundation is limited in making grants to eligible organizations, and the committee could not confirm that all of the parent-teacher organizations are either a standalone 501c3, public charities, or PTA chapters in good standing covered by the California State PTA's 501c3 public charity status. So as a result, over the summer, we began to explore other mechanisms for distributing grant funding to support the schools. Leslie approached the new San Bruno Park School District Superintendent Matt Duffy about the school district receiving a grant for the purpose of supporting field trips for each of the schools. And he and his administrative team willingly agreed to receive the grant, much of which will go toward covering the cost of field trips, buses, and the outdoor education program. We're grateful for the school district's willingness to receive the grant funding for the purpose of supporting field trips and related activities at each of the schools. San Bruno Park Education Foundation President Brian Vanderlud is supportive of the school district receiving this grant and does not see a reason for San Bruno Park or San Bruno Education Foundation to be involved in the use of the grants funds for these purposes. So for the board tonight, it is a resolution approving a COVID-19 relief school field trip and transportation strategic grant to the San Bruno Park School District in the amount of $35,000. The committee is enthusiastically behind this program to provide just a bit of relief to schools who have really struggled in both fundraising and providing enrichment programs to the students over the past 2+ school years. So before we hear comments from the board, I'd like to introduce Angelica Zermano, who is the district's Director of Educational Services and Student Services, and allow her an opportunity to talk. Yeah.
Actually, Raul, so Angelica is not on. I'm not sure where she is, what happened, but she is not with us today.
Okay. So then we should move to adopting a resolution for this grant.
So moved.
Oh, sorry. Right before we do that, I just want to ask if there are any questions.
Okay.
Yeah, are there any questions regarding the proposal from the board? Okay. Any from the public?
I see no hands raised.
Okay. Okay, so we have a resolution before the board to approve a school field trip and transportation grant to the San Bruno Park School District in the amount of $35,000. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Awesome. This is exciting. I love this project, by the way. So thank you so much, Secretary Gomez.
We need a roll call vote.
Oh, that's right. I get too excited. Okay. Secretary Gomez, would you please do a roll call vote?
With pleasure. Board Member Irving Torres.
Aye.
Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Paquin.
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an obvious aye. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye. Okay. As I was saying, this is exciting. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on. So thank you, Secretary Gomez. And now we're going to go to item D, receive report on strategic grant making priorities and the City of San Bruno's downtown from the ad hoc committee on program development and provide any direction to staff. Vice President Ruane will give the report from the committee.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Program Development Committee report on October 5th. Little background first. In April 2022, at the San Bruno City Council's request, San Bruno Community Foundation President Melissa Natani Jones and Dr. Sean Spano, the Public Dialogue Consortium, made a presentation to the council on the results of the Community Listening Campaign 2.0 and last year's strategic planning process. Subsequent to that presentation, the City Council, at the request of Vice Mayor Linda Mason, requested that the foundation reconsider our priorities to include, number one, the City of San Bruno's downtown as a priority, since the San Bruno community ranked it number one on the list of community needs, and it is currently not listed as a San Bruno Community Foundation priority. That's a quote. Upon hearing of this request, the board agreed to discuss the foundation's strategic grant-making priorities and did so at our August 3rd regular meeting. The board participated in an extended discussion, recognizing the importance of the downtown while also expressing agreement with the current strategic grant-making priorities. The board noted that the priorities focus on types of activities rather than specific geographic areas of San Bruno, and that many of the current priorities, particularly economic vitality, community building, and community health, safety, and wellness, apply to the downtown. Board members also noted that past San Bruno Community Foundation grants that have benefited the downtown, including COVID-19 relief grants supporting struggling small businesses, the Pedestrian Safety Strategic Initiative, and the several community grants, and welcomed a grant proposal from the City of San Bruno to develop Centennial Plaza on San Mateo Avenue into a community gathering space. They also expressed the need for a partner in the business community, such as an active Chamber of Commerce or merchants group, to effectively make improvements in the downtown area, as well as a concern about using foundation funds for core city activities that are typically supported through the general fund. Expressing a desire to keep the list of priorities as currently constructed, the board requested that the ad hoc committee on program development consider developing a statement for the board to adopt that emphasizes the importance of addressing needs in the downtown area without excluding other parts of San Bruno, which also have needs deserving of attention. The committee met on September 15th. The committee noted that at the September board meeting, the board received a report from the City of San Bruno on the city's plans to develop Centennial Plaza, an underutilized open space in the downtown area at the intersection of Genevan Avenue and San Mateo Avenue, and its need for funding to complete the project. The board created the Ad Hoc Committee on Centennial Plaza Project, which is charged with researching the Centennial Plaza renovation project and reporting back to the board with a possible funding recommendation. That advisory committee will review a formal grant request from the city on the project, meet in October to review the proposal, and decide on a funding recommendation for board consideration at the November board meeting. After much discussion, our committee ultimately decided to recommend that the board express the foundation's commitment to downtown San Bruno in the preamble of a likely future resolution approving a grant supporting the city Centennial Plaza project. Because the board will likely be considering such a resolution in the near future, because that renovation is the city's main downtown focused project at the present time, and because the foundation's funding commitment would likely be substantial, the committee determined that that resolution would be the appropriate venue to highlight the various grants that the foundation has already funded, benefiting the downtown, and explicitly state its interest in supporting downtown San Bruno. The committee also noted that the making of the grant in and of itself would be a significant statement of the foundation's commitment to the downtown area. So that is the committee's recommendation, and we welcome comments from other board members. If the full board agrees with our recommendation, no formal action needs to be taken now, and we will direct the executive director to include language expressing the foundation's commitment to the downtown in a future Centennial Plaza grant resolution. So that's my report, Madam President. And if there are any questions or comments.
Thank you, Vice President Ruane. Yes, Board Member Moreno.
I am part of that ad hoc committee, and I thank you, Jim, for that accurate representation of our conversation. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or other comments regarding this from the board? Okay. Oh, yes. Treasurer Lynn.
So I was trying to lower my raised hand. I just want to say thank you for the thorough report and the work that the committee have done to do this research. And I believe you were asking what our thoughts were, and I'm in agreement.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Vice President Ruane mentioned, the board doesn't have to take any action on this item, as the committee's recommendation is to include language in a future Centennial Park grant resolution. However, the board could choose to provide other direction to staff on this item. So if anyone has anything that they'd like to direct or invite Leslie to do regarding this item? Okay. I think that's it, right, Vice President Ruane?
I believe so, unless there's any kind of public comment.
Thank you. Any comments from the public?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you. Then we'll wait for a proposal from the city. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we all are behind that. We will now move on to item E. Receive report on other programs, including Community Grants Fund, Crestmore Scholarship, and Strategic Grants. I'll turn it over to Leslie, and I just want to remind everyone, she cannot turn on her camera.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Again, I apologize for my camera not working. It might be time to get a new laptop, is what this is telling me, since it's about 3 years old. But we will proceed here. You can look at my lovely photo instead on my square. Just have a couple of brief updates on some of our other programs. First up is the Community Grants Fund. We received 44 applications for community grants by the September 21st deadline. That's right in the same range of the number of applications we received in the last few years. I think last year we got about 48. The year before we got slightly lower. So it's definitely right in the range of what we normally get. And it's again another robust and competitive applicant pool. Program Manager Jessica Carrillo is in the middle of the due diligence process, where she reviews the applications for completeness and checks to make sure that the applications meet our requirements for eligibility, both in terms of an eligible entity applying for a grant, as well as that what they seek funding for is also eligible. In addition, she checks several state and federal registries to make sure, to check whether the applicant organizations are properly registered with the appropriate government agencies. So the IRS, the Secretary of State, California Secretary of State, California Franchise Tax Board, and the California Attorney General's Registry of Charitable Trusts. Once the due diligence process is completed, the applications will be distributed to our review panel for evaluation. We again have a 12-person volunteer review panel. All panelists will receive training on how the review process proceeds. And panelists participating for the first time this year will also attend a 1-hour diversity, equity, and inclusion session led by our president. And then the panelists will all independently review the applications and submit scoring. The panel will then meet to discuss the applications in mid-November and ultimately make a recommendation on grant awards to the board. And the board will consider those recommendations at its December 7th meeting. Again, we have a $100,000 donation from google.org and YouTube, and combined with $200,000 of the foundation's funds, we'll be able to award grants totaling $300,000. Typically, we have been giving out, grants from about 20 to 25 per year. Not a set number, because it just depends on what the requests are for and how the review panel makes its recommendations on funding levels. So that is proceeding on track. In terms of the Crestmore Scholarship, we have distributed all but 3 of this year's payments to our Crestmore scholars that still have active scholarships. They have to submit required documentation showing proof of enrollment for us to make the payments. One of the 3 remaining ones is in process. She wasn't able to get her proof of enrollment until classes actually started this month. And then 2 students may be requesting 1-year deferrals of their scholarship. They both received 4-year to high school to 4-year college awards, started college, and then decided that their current colleges are not the best fit for them. And so they're taking time off to reset, attend community college for a year and figure out their next step. We have tried to be very flexible with students because they don't always know, what the best fit is for them when they start college. And things have been even tougher, coming out of COVID for a lot of these kids. So we will be flexible with them as long as they are, have a plan to move forward. We will give them the 1-year deferment, but we are waiting for their formal requests. The 2023 Crestmore Scholarship will launch in December on its normal schedule with an application deadline in early March. Finally, just wanted to give a brief report on Community Day. We did receive the city's final grant report on the 2022 Community Day grant. Community Services Director Ann Matola will join us at the November board meeting to provide an oral recap of the 2022 event and present the city's plans for the 2023 Community Day. And at that meeting, the board will consider the city's request for grant funding for the 2023 event. So that's the update on our other grants that are going on right now. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question, Leslie.
Sure.
So if the grant is given to a student who's high school to 4-year, they end up going to community college. And if they get into their 2nd year and they decide to stay in community college, what then do we do? Do they then become disqualified, or do we?
If their plan is to eventually go back to a 4-year, what we have tried to do is just defer it until they go back, because that scholarship is a bigger chunk of money. So it's better for them if they wait until they go back and then they get the $5,000 a year. If they tell us, I've decided to go to community college and I think that's all I'm going to do without plans to then transfer to a 4-year school, we could consider, converting it to a community college award, but that would only be $2,500. So if they do plan to go to a 4-year institution, it's to their benefit to just defer. But we're willing to work with them depending on what their plans are.
Awesome. Good to know. Thanks, Leslie. Any questions or comments from the board? No? Yes, Board Member Torres.
Thank you, President Natalie Jones. Just a follow-up, Leslie, I'm just curious, I know the governor just signed that bill, Senate Bill 893, which is going to give opportunities for free community college to, I believe it's residents of San Mateo County. And so I just wanted to know, like in the future, how that conversation, or does that impact potential applicants that are going to be, eyeing for the applicant for scholarships for community college?
That's a great question. It's something we'll definitely look at, but one of the things about our scholarship is actually they can use it for not just fees and tuition, but for other school-related expenses, whether it's books, transportation, housing, etc. So, for community college students, generally, even before the movement to waive fees, that isn't necessarily the biggest chunk of the expense for them. And they are able to use our scholarship, unlike a lot of other scholarships, for those other expenses. And, they will likely continue to have those other expenses, even if the fees get covered. So, and we also think that this is $2,500 still isn't a ton of money, given the cost of all the associated costs of going to school. And there is a great honor in getting the scholarship. And we found that especially for some of the community college recipients, it's actually been a great motivator for them to continue their education and finish it. So we want to still, I think, honor that population of student.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie, for saying that. I think that's definitely important, especially just providing any type of support for our college students, especially as they kind of continue on with their studies and making sure that they're set up for success.
Definitely. Did Dr. Moreno have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
No? Okay. Okay, any comments or questions from the public?
I do not see any.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the report, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to item F. Discuss upcoming officer elections for 2023 term. Under our officer election process, we agendized the subject of officer elections at the meeting prior to taking nominations and holding the election to allow for board discussion on this topic. The elections are scheduled to be held at our next board meeting in November. I'll open up the floor to comments from any colleagues who would like to speak. Yes, Vice President Ruane.
Just throw a couple things out. Melissa, you've done a great job. I'd love to see you continue another year. And I'm having a great time, and I'd be happy to serve as VP another year too. So it's totally up to the board next month, but I just thought I'd throw those items out. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Vice President Ruane. Secretary Gomez.
Yes, so President Antoni Jones, I would like to echo what Vice President Ruane said. You are doing a fantastic job. So I would like to again wish that again you would continue in that role. And if so asked, I would be happy to take my role again as secretary into the next year.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Yes, board member Dr. Moreno.
Yes, I would like to echo what a wonderful job you have done, President Antoni Jones and Jim as Vice President, and appreciate the extra effort that goes into that work. And I would definitely support similar nomination, including Raul's position as secretary, especially given I still feel very new and I'm still learning. And so if it's possible to do that, I would definitely support that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just one more time, if I may.
Yeah.
Pac, you're doing a great job, especially considering this economy we're living with now. So I just want to throw that out.
Yes. Secretary Gomez, did you want to say something again?
Sorry, no, I left my hand up. I did not see that, but I will actually say again, thank you, Jim, for noting that. And I would just like to say to all the new incoming board members, you guys are all fantastic. I will say that, coming into this new year, when you guys were all rolling in, I was a little nervous at meeting you, but I have to tell you that I love working with each and every one of you, and it's just been a fantastic year. So thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Lynn?
Yes, thank you. I want to echo what everyone has said. I do agree that President Antoni Jones, you've done a really great job, and I really learned a lot, or still learning a lot from both you and Jim Ruane. So I would like to see both of you stay in your position. And Raul, I've loved working with you. And the way you've carried the meetings, I also in agreement that you should continue as the secretary if you wish, and I am honored if allowed to extend into next year as the treasurer. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Board member Perry?
Yeah, I just want to echo that I have learned and I'm continuing to learn so much from all four of you. appreciate the opportunity to revisit the issue, but I more appreciate the continuity of the four of you continuing on and doing the great work that you are doing. So yeah, I would wholeheartedly support the current leadership of this board continuing on.
Thank you. Board Member Torres?
Thank you. I also agree as well. I appreciate, all the officers, just helping, especially myself as a new member, just kind of transition into this new role on the foundation. I've just been learning a lot from you all and just appreciate it as well as we're kind of stepping into this kind of like, still in this kind of like Zoom world, but also like this in-person world as well. So I agree about just having the continuity ongoing, especially heading into 2023.
Thank you. I also just want to echo what everyone has said about our Vice President, Treasurer, and Secretary. It's been a pleasure to work with all four of you, or three of you, and just especially Treasurer Lynn, because she was a brand new board member and then she immediately came into this role. And so that just tells me that she's the right person and the right fit for us. And so shout out to the other board members. And I appreciate what everyone has said and the sentiment around me being president. I certainly am honored to serve on this board, and as president, I get to see and experience a lot of amazing things that happen in San Bruno. And I've lived here all my life, and a lot of my work has been countywide. And so to come back home and do work in the city of San Bruno really is amazing. And so I graciously thank you all and would love to continue to serve in this capacity. So thank you. Any other comments from the board? You guys are so fun. Nobody's ever like contentious, like, and I deal with that all day long. So when I come here, I'm like, oh.
Wait until next year.
I don't want to speak too soon. Okay. Any questions or comments from the public?
I don't see any.
Okay. Awesome. Great. So next month, we look forward to having our nominations. We'll move to item number 8. Are there any comments that the board would like to make at this time? No? Okay. I'll move on to item number 9. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, excellent. We are adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Thank you again, Leslie, who is really the person behind it all. Appreciate you. And thank you again, Heather, for being here in case we get a little rowdy or not kidding. So thank you, everyone. And I believe that's it.
Guys, take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Right.
Good
Nice
night,
to meet
everyone.
you, Heather.